Hey, what's going on, guys? Scott here with you. And in this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about headroom and some tips for headroom. So if you're unfamiliar with what headroom is, that's okay. I'll give you just a real brief definition. It's basically the amount of space you have between the highest point in your song, the loudest point, and 0 dBFS, 0 decibels full scale. And why is headroom important? Well, it's important for two reasons. One, if you are sending your track off for mastering, whether it's you doing it or a mastering engineer, if you don't have enough headroom, then your mastering engineer is going to struggle to raise the levels of everything and have room to work. And the second reason is that headroom can help you prevent clipping, which is when you hit the red and you can have all sorts of issues with distortion and pops and all these kinds of bad stuff that you probably don't want in your mix. So that's what headroom is. So, okay, what are some tips for headroom? Really quick. I think there's a lot of things to be said about this, but the key one is use your eyes as well. So in mixing, yes, use your ears. Your ears are very important. They are probably the most important tool you have when it comes to mixing. However, when it comes to leaving headroom, use your eyes. So look at your meters. So if I were to start playing this, right, and I would be looking at this, I'm seeing where I'm peaking here. I'm seeing how I'm in the red. I'm looking at my colors. Then everything kicks in. Okay, so there's 5.9. Okay, so that's the key thing there is just use your eyes. Look at your meters, right? The other thing I would say, another tip is, and I'm actually a little off from that. I was hitting negative 5.9. In general, I try to leave about 6 dB, and so no matter how loud my tracks are, how many things I've got going on, I won't go above negative 6 dBFS. You can have a different one if you want. You can say, 7, 8. Maybe some people are more comfortable going for 10 or 12 or even negative 18. But for me, it's negative 6. That is kind of where I draw the line. Another tip is balance your track around the most important element. So what do I mean by that? Well, in this track, the two most important elements are probably my icy synth lead, my synth there, and then this synth lead, because this is kind of a duet sort of synth song. So these are the two most important elements, meaning they are the ones that I would want to stand out the most. So these are the two most important elements in my track. So I'm going to focus building my sound around them. And they should, in theory, be the two highest points, the two highest individual tracks, outside of the master there, because that's what's going to be most important. The trick here is if you don't do that, if you don't consider what is the most important element of your song to focus on for headroom purposes, then what you're going to do is you're going to start adding plugins, and you're going to be playing with levels and playing with your faders and yada, yada, yada. And you're going to start emphasizing everything. And if you don't focus on one thing to be like the high point, then everything is going to get brought up. And next thing you know, you're just eating away at your headroom. And that is not good. That is going to leave you with some problems. Another tip here, and I kind of alluded to this before, is use your channel faders, not your master fader. If you are trying to leave headroom and you're just saying, well, I'm just going to turn down everything, well, what you're going to realize is that you may have some individual channels here that are absolutely crushing it, and you wouldn't know because you're just turning everything down. And besides that, also, again, reminder, if you're using Logic or whatever DAW you're using, pre-fader metering is a huge key as opposed to post-fader, because you don't want to get a false sense of where your levels actually are. Again, another simple tip, turn things down. I think we always have this temptation, and I've been guilty of it too, of just wanting to crank everything up. And really listen to it and be like, yeah, this is sounding awesome, because our ears often perceive louder as being better when that's not always the case. And it's actually rarely the case. So just turn things down. Don't think that louder's better. If you focus on these kinds of things, then you can really see that you'll be preserving a lot more headroom.